Morning, gentlemen. Yes, it's the market sniper. Yes. So this is for tour day 6. We are actually in the morning of tour day 7. We were by the beautiful Orange River for a bit. Let me just take a short walk up here. So the key things, what's happening today? Yes, what am I going to talk about? ADA perp, ADA USD, the short we told you to be short of, on balance of probabilities to the downside. And she is a spiller, she is a thriller, she's all the way from Manila. That's right, she's down, man, peas off the roof. Heading for interim level 2 according to HVF method. Book a call if you want to understand how interim levels are generated, how we deal with it, what's likely to happen post the interim level run, etc, etc. Also the USD Korean won that I spoke to you yesterday about. We suggested that you could break an entry into the setups there for alongside jumping back in on the dollar dominance theme to secure for yourself an entry on a macro trade that we see the targets running to the better part of very, very far away, deep past the 2000s. Yes, all that information and more again in our community on the 3wsthemarketsniper.com. So had you got hold of USD Korean won in and around the 1422s, 1418s, 1419s levels, you would have done just dandy and fine. This is where we had our dinner last night, by the way. Still very close to the Orange River. That's that green belt there over there. Cruising it. You can see some water farm irrigation channels down there. Tonight we will sleep in a place that has some of the biggest buffalo. There was a big game bubble in South Africa where the larger the spread of the buffalo horns studs were fetching unbelievable amounts. Bit of a water pan over there. We'll be sleeping at that game lodge, and we'll be seeing some of the biggest buffalo, so maybe I'll get some pictures for you. It's a very historic farm. It hid a Boer general during the Boer War in the cellar. In fact, there was a war that the British had a very, very black week on in the Boer War. So the Boers of South Africa were essentially French Huguenots and Dutch immigrants that wanted to get away from king and country. They wanted to escape a control structure. They wanted self-determination. They wanted land of their own. They wanted to be free of overruling, overarching, overbearing government that wanted to tax them, tax their activities, put rules and regs over them. They sought freedom. And when they were in the Cape and the British arrived and started bullying everybody again, as the imperialists tend to do, they decided to come north. They drove in wagons by horseback through this incredible heat, in some cases encountering all forms of mountains, all sorts of everything, to farm over here. But then they discovered diamond and gold as they started to go north, and of course the British became interested, and subsequently there was the British War. But when you talk about the British, it's the monarchy control structure as per the Dutch East India Company. The Cape was formed as a vegetable garden to feed vegetables to ships that were going from Britain all the way to the spice trades of India and China, where they sold opium to the Chinese who wanted none of their products. And this again was the Rothschild cartel, not the everyday English citizen in the street who bears the brunt for colonialism, but the banking Rothschild cartel that's pursued slavery, wanted addicts for clients, etc, etc. Anyway, so a skirmish that the British government assured the people of Britain would only be 2 weeks long, for a population no bigger than that of the town of Brighton at the time, ended up running 2 years with immense amounts of British bodies being sent home dead. So much so that they got the Australian and the New Zealand, the Anzac forces, to work for the imperialistic nations, and sent Australians and New Zealanders who were also gratuitously put in boxes and sent back to their mourning mothers, because the Boer was far more vigilant, far more determined and far more belligerent than the British government ever told those poor soldiers that were ill-trained, given wool uniforms when they arrived, only in Cape Town, and fought against a real guerrilla war, the first guerrilla war of it all, my friends, the first guerrilla war of it all. De Wet and De La Rey were great Boer generals, and in one particular incident on a hill where we're going to go by the farm there, the British game was to pound the hill with artillery for an entire day before coming with the forces. De La Rey was a lot smarter, and having observed this tactic, he was the first person to ever build trenches. This was pre-World War I. This was in the 1899s through to the 1901, 1902, the First World War. He built trenches at the foot of the kopje, instead of putting his soldiers on the heights, which everyone expected, where there were great marksmen, great snipers, in the end, the British, they sat in their trenches with their heads down, watched the British pound the hill relentlessly for a full day, and then come marching up, only to be suddenly faced by some of the best marksmen right in front of them at ground level, who shot the British to shreds in what was one of the most cunning and clever tricks that saw essentially Boer soldiers in trenches with their heads down for an entire day in the hot sun, watch shells whizzing over their heads. That Boer general actually ended up, when they retreated, hiding in a cellar of this farm that I'll be in tomorrow. This is war. This is the reset. Who's the orchestrated? Who sees the diamonds? The Oppenheimers and the De Beers of this world sees the diamonds and the gold. In fact, the largest diamond in South Africa, the Cullinan diamond, sits in the British Queen's crown. Why is that? It's an African asset, you may ask. Well, that is it. Anyway, as told you, the USD Korean won would go up in our collective opinion. If you'd bought the dips, it is my opinion that it is getting ready for further upside. That should see it sail through 1475. And as also told to you, ADA would sell off. ADA is selling off now to at least the 26 cents. We gave you that trade at 45 cents. You now need to decide, are you going to be a Boer, or are you going to be cannon fodder for an imperialist machine run by the Rothschild banking cartel? That's your great decision. Hit themarketsniper.com for your learning and your reset trading to be the sniper and the Boer at the bottom of the hill, or do nothing and be cannon fodder. The cop is the end of the homestand in the Liverpool Anfield ground, named after the travails here in the Boer War. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Hit the link to join us and book a call on themarketsniper.com. This is history. This is the world. This is how it's going down. The same forces are always out there. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to checking in with you again later. Bye.